Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, we are kind of knee deep in the middle of a refactor right now, trying to do multiplayer. And before we can even get multiplayer, we need to create the concept of a client and server. And for right now, we're still in the process of just faking it. We don't have two different processes, but we do have two different update loops. And maybe it'll be good if we can all kind of like refresh our memories from last time. Okay, so what have we got here? We've got a server loop, a client simulation loop, and a client render loop. And they're all totally separated right now. And let's check out what's happening in each of them. We are rendering the game and then just enqueuing the same render function the next time around. With rendering, that makes a lot of sense.
So that's just giving us a nice 60 frame per second, whatever it can.
Yeah, exactly. And then in client simulation, we are just simply doing a 60 frame per second update, and the server's the same way. And the innovation that we added last time is now that the game has a notion of a client update and a server update, and they're updating different pieces of state, right? Okay.
Yeah, and that's right. So we actually copy pasted our client. We copy pasted our client loop and then just started extracting pieces bit by bit. So
yes. Okay, so we've got the client update here. What it's currently doing is it's saying, well, we're going to handle input from the player. We updated the player input system so that it doesn't actually modify any state in the game, really. It just says that these things happen logically, and we want the actual logic simulation to take that input and do something with it. The other thing that we have going on the client side is updating emitters, which we consider just to be special effects. So emitters should be like super smooth on the client side, right? So
yeah,
if
when you shoot, it looks great. The explosion does.
Why am I not running anymore? Did I crash?
No, it turns out we took out everything but player movement. Which you can uncomment the shooter.
We can't shoot anymore. So that's okay. We don't have that's right. So we also sort of like are not updating any other logic. So if I scroll down, we'll see that. Yes. And this makes a lot of sense. All we've got is moving and hiding, building, shooting, turrets, bullets, pickups, wall collision, damage application, even playfield clamping. None of those things are being applied right now.
I wonder if, well, no, I think playfield clamping, I guess, probably runs in both. But it is weird that the client will drive you off the edge based on input.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So the result of this is some choppy driving, right? You can probably see the stutter on your end, right?
Oh yeah, it's stuttery. Was it like not coming through super well last time, or I guess it's hard to tell if it's the frame rate or not.
No, I could definitely tell, at least relative to the way that the game would run before. It was definitely obvious. This is just like my first time seeing it, and like also my input's a little bit slow because of the way that we're streaming this right now. So, but it does look super choppy.
It's rough.
Yeah. I wonder, and the stuttering is maybe the result of rendering multiple frame, like server updates worth of multiple sort of like frames of server updates per render frame, or rendering no server updates per render frame because they're not 100% synchronized, right?
Oh, that's interesting. That's what I was wondering. Yeah, is it like we're getting a server update every 100 milliseconds and we're rendering a frame every 16 milliseconds. So is it that we're rendering in the middle of a server update and like state is changing on the client, like it's being mutated while the server is updating it, or something like that? Or is it more subtle?
So I guess we've got like render client logic, server logic.
Mm-hmm.
Or let me do something like, and then like there's gonna be some. Let's say it's like every 5 is when it's on. Just pretend like each one of these is what, 12, whatever, 1/5 of 16 milliseconds, right? I think the issue is like if there's any kind of phase shift.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the phase shift though should be predictable, right?
What is this? Is this one of those like buffering things where we should actually be writing? I mean, we have like a weird shared memory problem, right? Like it's hard to tell what you're even reading out of state as you're writing it because the server is modifying the client state.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we did our best to basically say that, like, I think our suspicion, but maybe not our certainty, is that this server update function modifies like a completely different set of things than what the client update is modifying. Mm-hmm. And we know from just the way JavaScript works that this function is it's going to run to completion until we run and then we'll run a render, right? It's not like our JavaScript code is being interleaved in a way that we would not expect. So I guess what I'm saying is that like server loop will run to completion before either client simulation loop or client render loop will run. Those are atomic relative to each other. So I think basically I'm just trying to draw a picture of what we think is going on. And whether I don't know what the relative stagger between the render and client logic actually is. But I think because the server is actually updating faster than the render loop.
But isn't that backwards? The render is going much faster than the server here because the server is every 100 milliseconds.
Oh, okay. You're right. You're absolutely right.
The server is 5 times slower. Yeah.
Okay. So let me change that then.
Mm-hmm. And the client is in a very strange sort of similar space.
What is our client update right now? We said it was 60, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And it should roughly kind of be like this, right?
Yeah. Those. I mean,
server update. Maybe let's juice it a little bit. Let's add.
Oh, I see what's happening. Do it. Oh, that's so satisfying.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me go ahead and extend this. Okay, so is it possible that like it takes 2 render frames for this one server update to render, but then it only takes 1 server? Well, I don't know. Maybe this picture isn't quite illustrating it correctly. What I'm trying to demonstrate here is that is it possible that like 1 render frame has fewer number of server frames in it than the next or previous render frame? Does that make sense?
1 render frame has, yeah, that makes sense. It's weird that it seems like it jumps backwards though, right? Like we're not interpolating yet. So what would be pulling it backwards?
Right. Is it potentially the camera not getting updated?
The camera's in the client update.
Yes. So it should just pay attention to exactly what state is there, right?
Yeah.
So what if...
That's very interesting.
So so we actually think that the tank is being repositioned backwards?
You know what might be interesting? Can we log position? Because if we just move in a single direction, or even weirder, see a decrease.
Right. I think you cut off there for me for a second there. You're just
sorry.
saying, why don't we log the position, right?
Yeah. If we move in a single direction, I think we can at least try to watch that. We should be able to see that the client doesn't think the tank moves backwards.
Right. Okay.
Or see that it does think that, which should be even more interesting.
Yeah, cool. And we should log in the render, perhaps?
I think so, yeah. Like maybe even in the client update would be interesting, because that theoretically should be running just as fast as render.
Okay. How do we know when to draw this?
How do we know when to draw?
Yeah, like maybe I'll only draw it if a button is pressed down, right? So what I'll do is like if this dot keyboard dot down keys dot, is it size, length? What is the set?
Size.
That size. Okay.
It's weird that it's not offering you that as not a complete
TypeScript is not offering it to me. Yeah, there it is. Greater than 0. Oh, what?
I love that it Googles curly braces for you. So helpful.
What is going on with my... That was weird. And this is in the render, right?
Yeah. So we should see a lot of these, but
I'm not holding any keys down. That's weird.
did it might have stopped logging. Can you is it...
No, it's going.
Oh. Weird.
What's going on with that?
That's a great question.
Is it maybe that...
I mean, let's see. What? 22482.
It's not happening anymore.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think it might have been like a cursor.
Oh, like or like when the key gets stuck down if you're holding it and lose focus.
Leave focus, yeah.
Which might have happened when you opened the inspector itself with the shortcut.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
That's brutal. Okay, that looked like it worked, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, come on. Sorry, it's really hard to know where I'm focused right now because the mouse is super laggy.
No, totally.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm seeing is that the number does not go backwards, which is good.
It's good. But we would kind of expect frame after frame for the delta to be exactly the same, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess the thing that we're not seeing is the rendering of, like we were seeing it render in like a different position. So it's good to see that it's at least doesn't think it's doing that.
Yeah, so I'm going to ignore the first one, but this first set is 127, and then it goes to 109. So it's going, how many pixels is that? 20, it's like 16, 18 pixels for every
18, yeah.
like 123, 123, 6. So for every 6 render frames, it's moving 18 pixels, right? And that's 3.
Now here's an interesting one. Here is, oops.
Yeah.
This is also 6. Nope, never mind. It was scrolling, so I thought it was only got 5 for one of the sets.
Yeah, and that's what I would expect, is that like either it's not moving 18 pixels for every 6 frames, or it's like going faster than that, right? For it to appear to be going backwards, what illusion would that be? It would be, it's probably like it would be moving less per 6 frames.
I was thinking that you would see like 73, 91, then back to 73 occasionally before you went to 91 again. Like
you think the actual position would be jumping around?
I was hoping.
Yeah. But it's not.
No.
So that's weird. We're almost seeing some tearing, right?
Yeah, and it's strange because our render is pretty like controlled, right? Like nothing's saying like the only thing that's requesting more animation frames is request animation frame. Like nothing is saying like, oh, update the frame faster. Yeah. Could this be because we have an occasional set timeout? Like, is it if this is happening on the 100 milliseconds, are we actually like messing with render frame? Like, are 2 request animation frames coming in fast order because like we blocked for a moment, and then like the other thread caught up? Or sorry, it's JavaScript. It's one thread. So like we took the thread.
Yeah.
And then render had to catch up to it.
But I don't think we would interrupt in the middle of a frame, right? I think that should be impossible in JavaScript. Like the only time you ever in regular JavaScript without async await, the only time that you switch to the next event loop is if you return all the way to the top of the call stack, right?
Yeah, weird.
Right? It is weird. So I'm just looking at the numbers here a little bit. I mean, it does kind of look like the trend is pretty consistent, right? So it's just eyeballing it. It does look like we're consistently getting like 18 pixels per 6 frames, right?
God, what's even weirder is that like the decimal, after the decimal was very close on, like this is perfectly 18 between 73 and 91, which is wild.
Yeah, it is weird that it is slightly different, right? It is like it's off by 0.2 there.
I feel like this is actually like you can see some CPU timing happening in the background as it like does a very minuscule delta T for request animation frame. That's not quite perfectly on 60.
Yeah. But that's actually pretty big for that amount of variance, right? Like I would have expected to be out like several more decimal places for whatever reason. 0.2 feels pretty big, right? It's 0.5 here.
Yeah,
that's
weird.
Like a full half pixel, right? It's 0.2 here.
0.2.
Yeah, 0.2. I mean, is that enough for it to appear weird?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Let's try an experiment here.
Okay. Here's maybe one. What if we put the server loop in the client loop? So we did client.
I was going to do the same thing. I was going to do this.
Just run them all back to back, even better, yeah.
And so theoretically, this should be like perfect, right? And then I don't have a DT here, so.
I was going to say, maybe even one step before this would be put the server also in the client simulation loop, which is running 60 frames per second, and see if that's what's colliding with the render frame.
Got it.
So like take out the 100 millisecond loop essentially and just put server DT right below client DT. And then, yeah, then if we cut out server loop, we'll be good to go.
Makes sense. All right. Oh, that's nice and smooth.
I still see a little stutter though. Do you?
There is a tiny bit. Yeah, you can see a little bit.
A little bit. And so it's interesting. What I'm seeing is the turret is actually moving independently of the body occasionally.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like it's getting an update mid-render, and the transform is actually changing on one object after it's already rendered half of it, which seems very weird and specific. But
so you feel like we are actually getting interruptions?
I think our renderer is getting mutated state as it renders. So it's not an interruption, but it's like the transform changes from rendering the turret body to the turret. Maybe.
So, well, I think probably it should not happen at all if we stick.
I agree with that.
Right. And so we can just try to verify that really quickly. So let me actually do. And then this should be perfect, right? We should be back to normal here. I see a little bit of
It's still doing it. Weird. Huh. Very weird.
I'm a little bit puzzled.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we're not calling the server loop. Can you take client render loop out of set timeout? I know that's a weird fiddly thing to do, but lines 78 and 82 are wrapping it in.
We probably didn't need it in the first place, so it's fine. Oops. Yeah, this is actually worse than before, right? It was worse than...
Because they're moving independently now, yeah.
Yeah. Is our client update doing something that it shouldn't be? Is my question. Player input. No, I want you to go in there. Go. Handle move input. I mean, it's just
the next event, yeah.
It's just setting that. That's so strange. Where are we updating the camera? In the client update.
In the client, so that could... So how does that work? So we send a signal, we update the camera to player position, then the server moves the player and the camera lags behind the player? Is that weird? It's a little weird.
Yeah, so if for example we
yeah, if that went into the server...
Let's just... I bet this will fix it, right? Like, this should be like the very last thing, right?
Oops. Yeah, exactly.
No, still jittery. Is this actually updating?
You want to give it a restart real quick?
Yeah, I'm gonna just like... I'm actually even gonna clean it, so...
Okay. I saw it refresh when you hit save, so
yeah, I know what you mean.
I think it's doing the thing, but
yeah.
It's weird.
Because it almost seems like we've broken something else, right?
Hmm. Yeah, what?
Wait, what does the camera update even do?
It should just say it's transformed to that of the player, right?
It doesn't. Oh, I see. I need to move this as well.
Ah, okay. That might be it.
Yeah. Okay. I really hope that this fixes it.
That looks good. Does that feel good? Oop,
I still
I
feel
saw
a
it.
hit. I still see a hitch.
I
Did that
saw it.
never happen before?
I don't think I don't think so. You should check out main and see what we get. I think it was never there before though.
Yeah. Okay. So let me actually do what you said. Um, was it still master on this project? Yes. Okay. Well, we can fix that.
Ah, whoops. I'm so conditioned to main now. Yeah. I feel like we would have seen this before though. This is like
I feel like we would have too.
we've been fairly precise in a lot of our numbers and interactions,
Yeah.
wall collisions aside, but like the renderer has never done this.
Yeah. I mean, I see it right now.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, what the hell? So have we just been tripping this whole time?
It's that or my computer is slow because of tuple.
But I saw this happening. I saw the jump back happening on mine as well.
Yeah, and you can see
Maybe
the turret wiggle a little bit.
a little bit.
This could be floating point precision. We are snapping we are rounding down all the positions to the pixel boundaries.
That's
But
compelling.
this is the control, right? This is our control case. And
Yeah, as I say, we're not worse than this, so maybe it's okay.
yeah, we'll treat this as the baseline for now.
Hmm.
And it may be a performance thing. I feel like I didn't see this before, but honestly, can't really remember, right?
Yeah, I'm just pulling master on my own too, and I'll give you a second computer to at least verify against.
Sure.
I bet I'll see the exact same thing though. So
Um,
the feeling will just be we've been blind for months. That's fine.
yeah. And we should try to fix it, but
Oh yeah, yeah. I see a little turret jitter.
that's so interesting.
Yeah, but like at certain angles more than others.
Is it just the turret itself? Because I can imagine there being like some logic problems in the way that the turret follows the body.
But it's really hard to. I don't know.
So as it happens, I think this looks pretty much like our baseline.
Yep,
Um,
yep. I do
I've
agree
checked
with that
back.
at least.
Yeah,
So yeah. So we know that it's the same, which
yeah.
is fine.
So I don't know. I think we're still learning stuff here, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
let's go back to not doing any of this stuff and calling client simulation loop.
Hmm. Okay.
So I see it. Call me crazy, but this seems like slightly more prominent, and it's predictable too. You can see a double jitter here. Like if I go up to about here to like the top of the trees, you can see like a double jitter.
Why
Well,
is
I don't
that
know.
predictable? Yeah,
Well, I don't know.
I
I think I'm kind of like throwing it off slightly. But yeah, as soon as it passes the top half of the trees, you
I
can
do
see a
see it.
little
Yeah,
bit of a vibration there.
and I assume it's not actually like it's certainly not related to that position, maybe, but we're hitting some like rounding. Something is rounding weirdly at that spot.
Yeah, it's some rounding error. Yeah. Okay, so this is the client and server both running at 60 FPS, right? But as soon as we allow the server to update less frequently, well, it's actually updating more frequently, right? Oh no, wait, it's divided by 10, so 10 times per second. Okay, so it is
Right.
actually happening less frequently. Then it becomes very well. It's not horrible here. It's choppy, but that's what I would expect, right? Because we're basically like for some of those render frames doing nothing.
And call me crazy, but I don't see it jumping backwards anymore.
Yeah, what did we fix? Oh, is the camera still on the server update?
Ah, okay. That must be it.
Yeah, that's got to be it, right? Um, so
Weird.
it's the camera jumping around. So if I do an undo here, not the camera, it's in game.txt,
In the
right?
game, yeah. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, we don't need that log anymore, I guess. The
Yeah,
log was definitely not it.
just for kicks, right?
Hmm.
Well, it is the case that this is going to be a frame behind.
Right.
Should this be in the render?
Hmm. I feel yeah, because if it's supposed to track the player, we should update it on the frame.
Yeah, and why does it's because we do camera shake simulation in here. That's why we have a DT.
Well, let's you want to maybe should we consider backing that out until we do we
Just
still do
not.
many shakes? Yeah.
Uh, we do hardly any. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like we took most of them out, so especially in the interest of a minimal case, I am extremely okay with
just not having any camera shakes.
for now, yeah.
All right, so that's that, right?
Oh, is that all the update was doing? That's hilarious. That also looks great. So actually, I guess you could put camera update DT in the client update because it'll just shake as it feels like it.
Yes, although it is a visual effect, so you'd almost want it to be tied to the renderer.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree.
yeah.
I wonder if we're gonna have a sim no emitters. It's really the camera's really special. Emitters are like they're fine. They'll just run in world space in a weird way, but the camera needs to stick to the player very exactly.
So
Yeah.
let me try to go back to what we had before.
Okay.
And what we should be seeing is like really terrible jumping and herky jerkiness, right? Yeah. You can see it.
Do it again. Sorry, cut out for a second. Oh yeah, yeah. It's weird. That's weird. Why? Why? So it's is it because we update the camera? I just don't understand why the camera jumps around like that.
Because we're logging the player position, it doesn't change.
Where are we? We're logging it in render.
Uh,
Maybe we should log it in the spot where we set the camera transform.
oh, fair enough. Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
that. That's actually even a better place to put it because we're reading input.
Hmm.
Grab you there. And let's just do it straight where it should happen.
Nice. Okay. Well, it still looks pretty normal.
This one only has 5.
Mm-hmm.
This one has 5. Did our interval go to 5?
Kind of looks like it.
It does look like it, doesn't it? I could have been miscounting before, but I swear I saw 6.
Well, check it out though. What you move this from the okay, wait. Maybe this is the key. So when we log it here, we see a very consistent like 5 deltas. But when you logged the player position on the
Render frame.
We were getting 6. So is it fact that like it is just out of sync updates happening where it's like the game state is updating? And 5 is correct, right? Because you should get 5 updates before you hit number 6, which is the 16 millisecond buffer boundary. Oh, man, frame timing is weird. 5 is what I expected. 5 seems correct, but then the render function is getting
Is
called
5
more?
correct, or is because like the server state update is happening at 1/6 the speed, right? So it should be 1 server update for every 6 render frames, right? And that's what we were seeing before.
Mm-hmm.
Could be that console log is slowing the frame down enough that...
This is one of those problems where as we measure it, it just becomes harder and harder to diagnose.
It's a bit Heisenberg, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I feel good about what we learned, which is that I definitely agree that camera update in render before we start doing all our rendering makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, or at least it needs to happen after you receive server state, right?
After you,
because
that too, yeah.
Right now, the way that we're communicating is just through shared memory, but like maybe if we get to doing anything today, it could be that we should be sending messages, perhaps, from client to server.
I think that's like probably a unavoidable important first step. So
right. So I think this is maybe this is okay where it is currently, because what's going to end up happening here is we're going to have like this dot apply server messages, and this is going to like update a bunch of state, right? It's going to say like, your tanks are actually over here, and then setting the camera position here is fine. I think it is kind of open for debate where this camera, like the camera shake update, will go. Should that go in the render rather than the? But that I think that's.
But I think as long as it's happening after this, it is good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is the jitter? Oh, I think I know what the jitter's coming from.
Yeah.
There's going to be times when the server, like because the camera position setting is in here, there's going to be times when the server update will move the tank, but the camera won't move in lockstep with that. So the camera will be a frame behind. Right. Because like, think of a...
So the server's updated it. The render gets an updated position. The camera has not.
Yes, because the camera has not been updated. That has to be the problem, right?
Yep. So I really like the suggested apply server update function.
Yep.
And I think that's actually really nice for helping us. Like maybe we do need to start keeping 2 lists of entities and yada yada yada. Um,
Yes.
and actually, this will be a great start towards prediction too, because if the server and the client have their own set of entities and like they should be exactly the same as we apply server updates.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay,
That
cool.
sounds like a lot of work for today.
It does. Okay, so how do we do that? Do we
So
copy all of the? Do we just like copy all the entities over, or what do we do?
yeah, I was gonna say right now. So what's our setup in game? We load the map and build our entities. Um, can we just do it twice? Can we start by like really kind of picking the silly option and just stick it into arrays? Like basically run map in it twice essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think maybe one thing is that like one of the problems that we have is like the player input system.
Hmm.
Um, it modifies component state, and until we have prediction,
Mm,
the client shouldn't have any component state at all. So,
I agree.
so what we should actually be doing is actually bundling these into messages and creating like a client message queue, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. So
Okay.
that's really cool. So we will actually, right, so the output of handle move input will be an object. We stick it in an array. The server will get 5 at a time, essentially, apply them, send a message back that is state. The client will get a server update on whenever it next gets a frame, and then we'll be in sync.
Yeah, yeah. So I think
That's great.
following forward on what you're saying, I think what this looks like is it'll be like client message queue, and it'll be like some array of client messages. Or command is actually the terminology that they use in Quake, so I'm gonna
I like that. Were you reading the Quake source
that.
code?
I was reading the articles about reading the source code. I don't actually like the word command. I'm gonna use a message. Sorry.
Okay.
Uh,
I was trying to read. I was trying to be like, can we do UDP in JavaScript? And the answer is no, which is a real bummer.
you absolutely cannot. Yeah.
Yeah. We can do WebSockets.
WebSockets is still TCP though, right? Like it almost like
Yeah.
but it keeps the connection open. So that's you've at least got that.
What we can do is UDP via Node and our website connecting to a local server via private HTTP, but like local HTTP, which is fine.
Yeah. The one option that browser-based games have for doing anything remotely close to UDP is WebRTC.
Which like isn't. I was reading about that too, and it's like not good enough yet. There was some. It was like you can talk browser to browser, but you can't talk to a server with WebRTC.
What?
I think so. That's what I was reading in MDN.
Oh, okay. I know that WebRTC like is like horribly overcomplicated. If you're just trying to get UDP, like there are people who are smarter than me who have like tried to do WebRTC, and just like it's like it's too complicated. We'll just do WebSockets. So we're gonna be a WebSocket
Right.
game for a while, right?
I think that sounds great, though. I'm
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, good enough for us, I think.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. We're gonna have a client
Yeah.
entity manager, right?
Mhm.
Or client entities, really, right? And this is an entity manager.
Yep.
And what's going to happen is this should be like completely empty at the beginning of.
Now,
In
do you
fact,
want
this
to?
doesn't even exist. I think up front, what we do is.
I was gonna say it's interesting because we can initialize it from the same state as the server and sort of treat that as our proxy for like a whole bunch of synchronization events to start. But right now we do have like we can just load the map twice.
And then the renderer will read off of this, right? The client entity manager.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then we need to actually have a notion of a client message, which I think is another file. And what that actually is, how do I export just to struct? Is that export interface?
Export interface, yeah. Wow, you crashed TypeScript.
I'm good at that. And there's going to be a type. I don't know exactly how we want to do this, but whatever. There's going to be something like this, right?
Yeah. I mean, let's just go whole hog and import Redux here.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Come on.
It's so close.
I feel like all the Vim people are laughing at me right now. Client message queue.
I feel like Vim people are always laughing at me when I use my editor, so I've just come to terms with that.
They're all gonna laugh at you. Client
entity manager.
Entity manager is null. And then entity manager, I am just going to. Where's our entities? I'm going to leave that alone for now because it's used everywhere.
It's like the least to rewrite too. Like it's just entities.
And then in our client update,
I'm plugged into a monitor, but my power's not charging. This is interesting. But at least I noticed before the stream died.
I think.
There we go.
We're gonna have to be able to look for the player because this has been an anti-pattern that we've sort of stuck with for a while.
I think. Do you want to like add a method to entity manager? It's like
get player.
Get player. It's. Yeah. I feel like we've really what we've done is we've just skipped that by putting it on the game. Yeah. And done a lot of game.player, but we could have always done game.entities.player.
And how do you know if it's the player?
We could assign it the same way. Right now we assign it in the game, right?
The reason why I don't want to assign it is that we'd have to do it each time the client synchronizes state from the server. Fair. And if I could just ask and search for it, it's a little slower, but whatever, right? You
want to just put a player flag on there? We could like memoize it and
yeah.
Hold on to a value.
We'll just put the player flag on it.
Yeah, why not?
For now.
We've avoided having anything that did that for so long, so
yeah,
whatever.
I agree. It is a flag, yes. Player Boolean.
Yeah, that seems super reasonable.
Should I?
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I'm keeping the ID at the top. That feels like the right thing to do.
I strongly agree.
Strong agree. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's also separated up here. It's nice and consistent, right? And so I think what we are talking about is should be on the entity manager. I think that's what it should be.
Yep, and it should just have a player property of some sort, or maybe just a player method. Yeah.
And then this is an entity or null. And then this dot entity. What is entity? What is this dot entity's return? What does dot find return?
It should return an entity.
MDN find.
Shout out to another TV viewer hanging out in our chat. What's up? Sorry, I just see him in the room. I see participants in chat, but they didn't say anything. They're just watching.
Oh.
So hello.
Hi everybody. We're making a game.
I think they've been here before.
Oh yeah, what are they called?
Yeah. Another TV viewer?
Another TV viewer. Cool name, another TV viewer.
Yeah. I
And
gotta
then
get.
we return undefined otherwise. Okay.
Yeah.
We're trying not to return explicit undefines. Is that so? What if I did this
So
horrible
far.
thing?
No, it's great. I love Ornell.
Okay. E dot player. Right.
Mm-hmm. And yet,
What is it complaining about?
entity has no call signature.
Oh, you know what? It's because this is entities dot values. Yeah.
No, wait. Oh, it is. I was gonna say you did the backwards function syntax, but that's not true. We're in the space where you don't do the fat arrow.
It's this
JavaScript,
right?
man. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Oh, and nothing is returning here.
Ah, ha 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 ha.
Classic.
I think I'm just in like Rust Ruby mindset naturally.
I know. I've been writing Ruby at my day job. I'm just like, I write explicit returns, and everyone's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Don't you want to know what the function returns? Like, come on."
Yeah. I did a little bit of Rust programming, which I enjoy quite a bit, and the convention there is to not have an explicit return if it's like the last statement or last expression of a function. It's just like Ruby, and it's confusing. I agree.
I know, but I love it. I love it, and I hate it. Oh, okay. So this is gonna be really interesting. So if you delete player from the game, the whole project will explode.
It'll explode, but we don't need to do that right now. And then I'm going to also do this
because you want to just dig into we're just going to dig into the client entity manager's player object first and foremost and deal with that.
There's no clone in JavaScript, right?
Not a good one, as I recall.
Okay, that's fine. That's what I wanted. And what this is going to do is let clone equal this, and then I think we have to. What is an entity manager?
I'm okay if it clones just entities and we ignore to delete because like
I agree.
We're not gonna deal with that. Entity manager.
All right. This is tricky.
So it's like
we need like a deep copy, right?
Well, it's that like entity also needs a clone, which knows what to do with each.
Yeah, that's right.
Property on the object, and like some of them are flags, and some of them are instances of, components. So it's a little funky.
Is there an of? What is?
Oh, they do two different things. Yeah, I forget.
For of gives you the value, right? Oh shit, Dom. How many things have we done that like we could have used this?
A lot, because you can do it on set and map and object too. That's horrible.
Oh man.
I'm glad TypeScript just added the feature. It's like, are you tired of doing that thing? We got you.
Well, CoffeeScript had it, and I just like for some reason I brain farted and I didn't think TypeScript had it. All right. I like how we have like we're accumulating TypeScript problems out the wazoo. It's just like we're totally in surgery land. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. This dot entities and clone ID equals. I actually want in here. This dot entities ID dot clone, right? And then we need to go even further. So entity needs to be able to clone this, and it needs to clone all the components too. God, what this is horrible.
Are you sure you don't want to just run the map creation twice? I know it's like cheating, but we're not going to have matching IDs, which is the bad part, maybe, unless we don't care.
Well, I want to make sure that when things die on the server, they die on the client.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
And also, we have to handle spawning as well, right?
Yeah, that's true. You might as well just do it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Oh boy. And
It's just deep copy and array day. We got it.
is there a way to deep copy classes?
Man, you're asking the hard questions.
Yeah. MDN deep copy classes.
I don't think that's a built-in. What is clone node? That's some HTML
I think this
stuff,
is
right?
this is all web browser stuff. Yeah, that's
Yeah. I mean,
document.
object out of sign and like splatting stuff out is a pretty good way to do it.
And will you get the prototype? I think you don't get the prototype though.
No, it's like it's not a deep copy, but it's your shallow copy of everything.
JavaScript deep copy of classes. How to clone it? Yes, yeah. This is what I'm talking about.
I'm curious. Yeah, that's the right answer. It's complicated. Holy cow! Wait, scroll on that sucker. I've never even thought of that. Fuck, dude.
But this isn't deep though, right? This is a shallow copy. Object of design is shallow.
But it's getting the prototype of the original, so oh what? Oh yeah.
There's no easy way to do what we're trying to do here.
Nope.
The lesson here is that we shouldn't have used classes for a lot of the stuff that we use classes for.
I mean, what? So what do we have a class for? Like, how many of these are not?
The entity doesn't need to be a class. It literally all it does is all the class gives us is this, right?
Mm-hmm. And how many of these objects down here actually need to be classes as well? Because I feel like Builder, like if we could turn each of these into just their data, we would know.
Yeah, I don't think any of them. I mean, some of them have like an AABB function on them, that kind of stuff.
But we could always rederive that, right? It's like we're on Hitbox, so like pass the Hitbox data into the Hitbox class and like get the AABB. Yeah,
and
we need
and constructors don't matter, right? Constructors you can just make create Hitbox function, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we don't need any of this.
Oh shit. So
indeed,
this branch is going to be massive. Should we declare bankruptcy on the branch and do the class refactor right now so that we can clone stuff? The thing is, the cloning is just in service of making it easy to apply server state to client state. Because what I'm trying to do is just take a copy of the game.entities property and just copy that into class.entities. such that it doesn't it's such that the render doesn't get that intermediate frame of server update. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's how we get the firewalls. Like we need a copy.
Sharing memory was always a mistake. We knew it. Fuck.
Yeah, we did know it, but we'd have to solve an even harder problem if we weren't doing it, right? Because we'd have to like figure out how to like.
That's correct.
How spawning would work between client and server, right? This allows us to not worry about it right now.
But man, it's so tricky.
Why do we use classes, Dom? I mean, we could add clone to everything too. I mean, or we could make whatever is a trivial class an interface and make it easy to clone. But I think the whole point of making them interfaces is that it allows us to use like Lodash deep copy or something like that to like copy an entity, right? Whereas right now that's not super possible. I'm actually curious if Lodash has a deep copy. Clone deep. Oh my god.
Ooh, is he gonna do it? That'd be kind of amazing.
It would be amazing if it just did what we wanted, right? Clone deep. Okay, it's like clone. Show me the source. It's going to be horrible, right? It's going to be like 1,000 lines long.
Oh no. Oh no, sorry. You're just in the entire loadout.
Base clone. Oh my god. Why in the world would you use this ridiculous flag notation on an internal interface?
Wow. This is wild, dude.
Okay, if it's not an object, it's like this is plain old data. It's an array, if it's a buffer. Init clone object. Holy shit. And then what does this do? It does the thing. It does the thing that was in Stack Overflow. So this does classes, right?
Dude, that's wild. No way. All right. Should we try it?
Should we just do it?
I mean, why not?
All right, we're just gonna do it, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, hey Jeff, something is destroying my battery. I'm gonna run and get an adapter real quick. So
okay, yeah, take your time, please. I'm just gonna be. I'm gonna get rid of the clone function that we added.
Okay, sick.
Because we're just gonna deep clone everything.
I love it. Oh my gosh! And then we're gonna delete classes over the weekend.
Yeah.
All right, BRB.
Yep. Just gonna check what's going on in the chat right now. Hello, hello.
Ooh,
I don't hear your audio. Oh, there we go. Okay.
I hit the mute button so you wouldn't hear me walking around. Whew.
How's the
made.
smoke in San Francisco right now?
Pretty bad.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I have a HEPA filter here. I have a HEPA filter in my Berkeley apartment. Everything is as good as can be. Did you see the incredibly infuriating and angering thing that we don't have any more firefighters for putting out the fire?
What?
Our firefighters were our prison population, and they all have COVID.
Oh my god.
I know. So because we didn't want to actually pay anyone to fight fires and just wanted $2 an hour prison labor, we're going to have quite a fire season.
Man, it's all coming together right now, isn't it?
Capitalism's just having a field day. Yeah.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw someone talking about a fire in their city, and they're like, they said it won't be out till September.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That seems unbelievable.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a death cult. Happy stream.
Sorry, I'm just doing some therapy right now.
Do it.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I reorganized the proverbial sock drawer of the make entity function.
Oh no, you can't sort that. Oh no. Ah, I wish.
Oh, dang. Denied. I can at least sort this, right? Come on. What? Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm not.
You're not.
Very good.
You're not, because that really should have worked.
What did I just? I accidentally chose something. Show output channel. Oh, thanks,
Nope.
ESLint. I don't care.
You could select that and option arrow up, or that.
Hitbox. Damn it. Oh, yes. Option arrow. Dude.
It's a good shortcut, right?
It's fantastic, and I completely forgot about it. I ignored my teachings. Oh, now e.shooter doesn't work anymore. God damn it.
Oh no.
Sorry, I like meant to do this as a Zen sort of thing, and it's just causing me rage.
So wait, did deep clone work? Do we get to deep clone? Or is that
deep clone should work. I have a high confidence in deep clone.
Cool.
I don't have any confidence in it at all. But we'll see. Where I put it is in the game here. In my apply server state, I'm just saying the client entity manager's entities is the deep clone of the server entities.
Hell yeah.
And then whenever we read the player, at least on the client side, we're going to call get player. And I think this needs to be exclamation point. And the renderer will do the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or does the renderer even read the player?
It shouldn't anymore, because it just needed to know about the camera.
We do want it to read...
the client entities, not the server entities.
Yes. All right. The health bar shit's going to be weird.
We have some stuff to change the entity manager on, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think this is just it. Client entity manager.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool.
Okay. So this should just fucking work. Right?
I've never seen that go wrong. Let's do it.
Yeah. If I reload, I don't see any snapping.
Is it happening? No, it looks perfect.
I mean, that deep clone cannot be performant at all, but like...
But it only has to do it once, right?
It has to do it 60 times a second. Whatever our client update rate is at.
Wait, why are we deep... Oh. You're deep cloning the entire entities list.
Yeah.
Oh lordy. Wait, okay, so we haven't really gotten to the message passing yet, because once we do message passing, we only have to clone it once, right?
Correct. Right now, what we're doing is we're consuming snapshots from the server. Right, we're taking the full snapshot and just committing it to the client state.
Mm-hmm.
But probably what we want to do is just apply deltas over time.
That's what I was thinking. The client message is we should because we started off writing the array of client messages, so the server should eat the entire array of client messages one by one in order and send back a response state, and then we have a consume server message function that didn't get apply server messages is not a function, right? It's angry already.
I think I just didn't clear this.
Oh
no, it's saying it continuously. Where
did it's still in there. We wrote that, right? Yeah. Did we write that?
I think that's gone.
Oh, weird.
But it is, or maybe my thing is just dead. I don't know.
DevTools just
DevTools was
cool.
just just full of hatred. I mean, we did actually solve the snap, though, right? I think this is like gradually kind of doing what we want here. But again, like I added this comment here because like this eventually is going to be a lot more efficient than what it's doing right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. That is apply server state. Okay. Yeah. Totally down with that.
Yeah, and this probably only needs to happen like once per server message that we get, right? So like as we start to factor this apart and make the separation actually real, like you shouldn't even be able to read this state here, right? Like you should have no direct pointer to the server state. Yeah. Oh boy.
Do we have to coordinate random numbers against like across servers at some point? That sounds horribly annoying.
If we want to make it deterministic, yes, we do.
Great. Fair. Yeah. Well, I feel like we
that's
probably
really
do
hard.
Eventually. Yeah. No, different CPUs, I imagine. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like the random number generation. We're just going to use some, pseudo random number generator.
Right. It's
PRNG, a pring.
Right. We seed it with like the server sends a seed, and then we have a function that like generates a number based on the last server timestamp or something. Basically, it's like seed times that. Yeah, that makes sense.
We'll have where it's tricky is that we need to make sure that if we predict, the prediction can't change the number of it can't change the number of times we call random.
Oh, yeah, right.
If it does, then it's like guaranteed, or at least the effect of the prediction cannot be meaningful state. It can be the random direction that a particle emitter goes in, right? That's fine. It can be just like random visual effects. What it can't be is like role-playing game damage, right? Like it can't be like you took 3d6 damage, right?
Right, and you can't roll that on two different machines to get the same number. Yeah. That's impossible.
Well, you can roll it. You just can't roll it a different number of times.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Oof.
Everything is great, Dom. Everything's amazing.
Man, it's okay. We just keep picking harder and harder math problems, and I'm into it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's fine, man. You know what? It's like our house is not burning down yet, so.
No, we just have 12 TypeScript problems right now.
That's fine. That's really fine. We can deal with 12 TypeScript problems.
And so I bet. Oh, we already did this. Sorry. I was all like getting excited to break these apart again, and then it was already broken apart.
Yep.
Okay, let me do a tiny bit of cleanup here. Just a smidge. Just a light dusting of... I need my Zen.
Now you've got 11 TypeScript errors. It's great.
Oh, yeah,
or 10. You got two at once.
I'm just going to do it. Client message still needs to be done. Why is this...
We don't need a vec2 here anymore. That render is very wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, it killed all.
Handle cursor mode. Oh, okay, this is just like stuff we haven't handled yet. It's fine.
Yep, that's reasonable.
It's fine. All right. What do we want to do now? Do we want to... Well, we basically have to separate the client and server. Like, we have to drive a much harder wall between them.
Yeah.
So we're miles away from prediction right now. Like, we were thinking about prediction last stream. We're pretty far away from that. In fact, we're going to get even further. Because the direction we're going right now is to do a state separation. Not just in terms of which shared memory the client and server have access to, but to like literally not have shared memory, right? It feels like that's the direction we're going right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe the next thing to do is to turn our client messages into a list so the server can consume them in order.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and that interface will suddenly come into use.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are client simulation updates 60 frames a second, and our server updates only 20 frames or 10 frames a second? How do we know which client messages we run during the server frames? Because you could have like multiple clicks, like firing clicks in the same frame.
Yeah, I mean, is it just that the server snapshots and clears it immediately? Like the first thing it does is grab the message. Shit, man, like this is still a shared memory problem.
It's not just, I think the question that I'm asking is maybe not about shared memory, but it's like, if you run a different frame rate on the server than the client, you need to know how to quantize the client messages. Like I think the client message has to have a frame identifier on it. And you need to know how to translate the client frame identifiers into server frame identifiers. Because like, what happens if you have 60 frames a second and you click the mouse 3 times, like over the course of 5 server frames or 6 server frames, but sorry, 6 client frames, you click the mouse, let's say just 6 straight times.
Okay.
And then on the server, that's only 1 server frame. Do you handle all 6 clicks in that 1 server frame? And does that mean you spawn 6 bullets all in the same position?
Oh, right. That's interesting.
Did you happen to watch that one Overwatch video about netplay?
No, I was reading the other articles. I didn't get to the video yet. The video is the key. They basically say you have to have the same frame rate between client and server, and they say that basically. Yeah. I did see that for Overwatch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. They're running them both at 30. Overwatch is 30, and others are 60 or something, and like 30 is a weird one or the unusual choice.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what their frame rate was, but regardless of that, their basic premise is that client simulation and server simulation are running at exactly the same frame rate. Let's pretend like the user never pauses or alt tabs out. And they also basically say that the server is sort of a fixed amount behind the client. And then
you can make a lot of assumptions once you say all of that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I guess their idea here is that client is up here, server is down here. I love that they have the same number of letters.
It's the little things.
And then we're going to do like a base 36 notation here, right? So you have client frame 0, client frame 1, client frame 2, client frame 3, and so on and so forth, right? What you do is there is some like somewhat fixed phase shift. And so the client's always running n number of frames ahead.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so the client is always ahead. Yeah. Okay.
So what you do is like if you fire a bullet on client frame 0, you immediately start simulating it, right? Or predicting it. But then on server, so basically, the server doesn't actually process that until like 5 client frames later, which is an eternity. And then presumably, if this angle here, this distance here is like your ping, or like half your ping, then it's going to take the same amount of time for it to get back to the client.
Yep.
So you basically have to be able to predict like 10 frames.
Which
just
is
in terms of this drawing, right?
Which is 32 milliseconds. I wonder. That's good ping.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I like this though, and I like that if we're really just passing a simulation frame, we just start a counter. Like, is it really that simple?
Yes.
And like we look for messages for frame 0 on our frame 0, and we process them all. And if there aren't any, we're good. And if there is one, we do it. That's cool.
Correct. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
Let's add a frame counter. Yeah.
All right.
It's wild to me. I feel like I've had frame rate so drilled into my head as something else, but it makes a lot of sense that actually like simulation is off doing its thing and rendering is this, you lock down a certain amount of CPU and then you render just whatever you can.
I'll tell you what, man. I think this is actually the first time, maybe this is just me like operating on the guts directly, but this is the first time I've actually looked at a game engine that separates the render update from the client update, which is rad. I mean, it's like new territory for me.
But
as far as
wait,
I can tell,
shit, really?
Yeah.
Isn't this how it has to work? Fuck.
Yeah. Now that might have been abstracted away from me in other games. But as far as I remember, a lot of the game engines I worked on, they weren't multiplayer, right? So you could just...
Oh, so it doesn't matter, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
So we'd be doing the same thing. We'd basically be doing like all the business logic, then we'd be doing all the render preparation. We'd call a vsync interrupt, like wait for the vsync.
Yep.
Wait till the frame is ready to blank, clear the screen, draw everything, and then go back to the top. Yeah.
That's neat. Okay, but that makes sense for a single player, right? You can get away with a lot of that.
Now,
that's weird.
I guess in like a sophisticated game, a lot of this stuff is like, all the render stuff is like, you can think of it going on in parallel with the game update, because it's also like, you're also waiting for like the GPU to do its thing, right?
Yeah, I feel like, I guess a performant game engine sort of relies on being able to hand off as much as you can to the GPU and just being like, here's the world state now, get it out. I got another one for you in, 16 milliseconds. So hurry up.
Yeah.
And you also need to be able to transfer that much world state that quickly, which is like, I guess why we care so much about, GPU bus speed and how fast people can get things in and out of RAM. That makes sense.
In fact, I actually think that most games will do something like this.
Really?
They basically simulate faster than you can render.
Is that because you'll if you like slow down a little bit, it's no big deal. But if you're expecting lockstep, you're going to be in real trouble, right?
Yeah, you can never allow. Well, not never say never, right? But you always want to be able to render. You always want to be able to simulate faster than you render.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's always, but yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess that makes sense because I do see multiplayer games that run at like, 200 frames per second, and people are like really proud of that clock. So,
and that's meaningless unless the simulation is actually able to at least keep that FPS, right? Because otherwise nothing's moving. Right.
I wonder, do you think there's a situation where the client will run at, I don't know, I guess if you throw enough power at it, can you say like between frame 1 and frame 2, like you can interpret half a frame if you want? Like, I guess, are people throwing computation to the GPU and like prediction becomes a GPU side thing because of all the shit we've got there? It's so weird.
Right, I know what you're saying. When we were like 2 sessions ago, when we were just doing things on a whiteboard, right? We were talking about how uh, if you mispredict state, well, the way some games do this is that they'll take the server snapshot and then replay the input buffer frame by frame on top of that. So if you think about it in my diagram here, if you mispredicted, like you'll get S0 state on frame CA, this is like C10 basically. And if there's a mismatch there, what will happen on the client side is it'll take S0 and then play back 10 frames worth of player input over the server state.
Interesting. Yeah.
So you need to not only be able to simulate like 200 frames per second, you actually need to be able to like simulate like 10x what you would normally simulate, right?
Wow.
At least in a slice of the world, right? You don't necessarily need to resimulate other entities' pathfinding, but I don't know. On the other hand, like you'd have to be very, very clear about what state can affect other state, right? If the player input can literally lead to a cascade of effects across all entities, then you need to resimulate everything, right? Because you just don't know what would have changed.
Oh, that's so weird.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
We are definitely enjoying ourselves now.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
This is gonna be type 1, 2, and 3 fun.
Okay. What's type 3 fun? Type 1 fun is like I'm eating a case of red vines and I'm playing Call of Duty, right? Type 2 fun is like I ran a marathon and I am proud of myself for doing so. And what is type 3 fun?
I thought I was like type 2 fun is like you're like I know this will feel fun later, and type 3 fun is like it's not fun and then it is fun later. Like type 2 fun you're like this is a challenge and a little unpleasant, but I'm gonna really cherish this fun later.
Yes.
And type 3 is you're just like fuck all of this, and then the next day you're like, oh, that was worth it.
Or maybe type 3 fun is that like I agonized over a novel for 5 years of my life and contemplated quitting every step of the way, and I'm glad now because I received the MacArthur Genius Grant for my literary achievement because I wrote the great American novel. So basically that's us, right? We're going to be whatever the equivalent of the Oscar for Best Picture is in the game industry. That'll be us.
It's coming our way.
We did netplay so early.
Did you see the Nintendo like indie showcase a day or two ago?
Tell me about it.
They just had there was a lot of cool little games in there, and a lot of them I was staring at them and I was like, I kind of understand what's happening here. I could make that game.
Yeah,
and
totally.
it felt really good. Like one was like a little management sim. There was one about death. There was some like weird 3D shit. Goose Game got a shout out again because everyone loves Goose Game.
I think they're doing multiplayer. Yeah,
which who knows? They're probably like sitting around the computers right now, being like, "All right, so we send messages back and forth. Is that what we do?" It's interesting though because Goose Game is so imprecise in a way that I wonder a lot too. Like, I get the sense that you mask a lot of the network issues here by like giving the player a 100 millisecond wind up animation before they turn around or something, and then you've like covered a ton of your network lag.
Yeah,
and like prediction by just like giving humans a small barrier in front of what they do, and it's like, oh, okay,
right,
that makes sense. Because precise control is what's going to feel terrible.
Yeah.
And Goose Game is perfect because it's like the least precise thing in the world. You're a horrible goose.
Yeah. And they had I think Goose Game is going to be multiplayer, right? But they I think they're just probably running on Unity, right? Those guys are like super smart anyways, though, so they probably just figured it out, right? They probably just like sat down for a day and they're like, okay, this is how it works.
I forget that other people get multiplayer for free with their game engines.
Yeah, we're really not.
Look, man.
Yeah,
they're missing out on all of these types of fun.
They're not learning anything. They don't understand how their stuff works. This reminds me of that one meme. I don't know how popular it was, but it's like that dorky kid with the samurai sword, and he's like, while you were out like
I studied the sword,
like chasing women, I studied the blade,
I really love it. It's so true.
That is us right now. We're studying the proverbial blade.
We are studying the blade. Someday, at some point, we should make a game together in Unity too, and just like see what it feels like. But I've learned so much from this that like Unity is going to be a piece of cake, which is great.
Yeah, I guess I think so. We'll just spend a long time kind of learning the interface. I would love to do that. I'd love to do a little vacation in Unity or Game Maker or something like that.
Or like Unreal Engine 5 and give me some like cool 3D lighting shit. Like I want ray tracing. Like jump us forward to what 10 years in the future our game engine looks like, and I'll be like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so we'll just basically have like trapezoids in 3D space and like little turret things.
Oh yeah.
But I think that has its own share of issues where you have to like learn the complex and idiosyncratic language of somebody else's tool chain, and
it's so weird.
Beat that into submission, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So what client messages do we have? I guess it's all the stuff that we commit to in the input handler, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Mm-hmm. So we have cursor mode we don't care about. It's really just the directional stuff, and it's the tank mover's next input, which is just requested direction, right?
Yeah, really, in terms of type, we have one right now, which is move. And I feel like the input handler has the other three types, which are mode change and attack and something else. Build.
Yeah. Enum, client, message, type.
Hmm.
And then what do we... so this is like move player.
Yeah.
That's it right now.
That's it. We'll start there, yeah.
That is fantastic. Okay, and then it's really export. I like our little like enum type pattern. And then like this is like a move player client message.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is not even exported, right? This is
yeah, we don't need to. Yeah,
just a interface.
Interface, yeah.
Type equals move player.
Mm-hmm.
Type client message type. It doesn't like what I'm doing here, Dom.
Is it type client message type dot move player? How did you do this before?
What do we have renderables?
There's no assignment interfaces, I don't think.
Oh, I see. Yes, we assign the fixed value. Okay.
Right. So it's a string of type, only one string. Mm-hmm.
This is an awesome type system. It's like
it's really, really great. I love the way it lets you
specific values are types, right? And like, but the question is this a child type of client message type?
I don't think so. If you hover over type, what does TypeScript interpret this as? Yeah, it's
a client message type. Okay.
Yeah, it's a client message type, which is why we can switch on type and like drill down like that. It's really it's so good. Okay,
so the player input system will just enqueue something, right? So this dot client, this dot game, it's game dot client message queue dot push. Oh, and we need to request a direction, right?
Yep. And should we put I guess like, should we put the entity ID that we want to operate on, or is that optimizing too early?
For now we know it's the player, but I know what you mean. Like eventually we'll
Right?
need that. Yeah.
When we have two players, it's like move a player of ID. I know it doesn't apply to anything yet, so
Direction move. Let's import that. And I think we also need a frame, which is a number.
Ooh, now we're talking. How
Right.
are we gonna get the frame?
Yeah, we gotta start threading the frame down in there, right?
Yeah. Well, now do we, or does DT become the frame? I mean, we have to get it in there somehow, but what if instead of
I
delta time, we just give it a frame number?
think let's do both because like we might want to change
Okay.
the frame rate, right?
Okay.
Okay, so where is our update? Our update is here. And let us frame type. What is the type? Client message. Type dot move player. Direction is direction, right? Oh, come on. Come now. It's not letting me import it.
Ooh.
Did I just mistype that? I probably just mistyped it. Well, I should export that.
Ah, that's what we need. Yeah.
Did I close my file? I think I closed my file.
Oh, damn it. Nice.
Imported, and that'll do it, right? And now we actually have to consume that. Really quickly, this is gone now, right? This whole component is gone.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Getting rid of a component is a good feeling.
It's going to crash the game, so it's going to take us a little while to get it back into ship shape, but whatever. Okay, so we have... sorry, let me push this through a little bit more. But this system's going to be really fun to... I'm not going to do this right now. We'll get to it. Player input enqueues that, and now we have to consume it. So I actually think... How does the server update work? Do we iterate over... We iterate over client messages as long as the frame matches the current frame. And then we consume the messages?
Maybe each system looks at the current server messages for the current frame.
Yeah.
And just like it's... Fuck, man. We're writing Redux. Basically, every system can consume whatever message it wants for the current frame. So the server should provide, like, now messages, basically.
Let's, for now, like, be super coarse-grained about it.
Cool. Sounds good.
And
it's just,
we'll eventually pass the frame in there. And then what we'll do here is the tank mover shouldn't do anything unless it finds messages that you want, right?
Yes.
And then equals this dot client. It's game dot message queue dot
find by frame number.
Select
Mm-hmm.
is find. It only returns the first one, right? So
Right, that's not quite
filter is
right.
what we want.
Filter. Uh-huh.
Where m.type equals client message type dot move player.
Mm-hmm.
And m.frame equals frame, right?
Nice, yeah. Cool. Mm-hmm. Yep, and then we're looping over messages.
Right, and then we can say just like const player equals game.entities.get player.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really the player mover system now, right? It's no longer just like, it always was the player mover system, but like now we're very sure that like, yeah.
I mean, it's like the definition of player, I think, is what's I would reuse this system when we want to move a player with by ID as well, and it'll be very similar.
Yeah. Equals 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all this stuff is still in play.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just all player, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, next input is...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say tank mover at next input is just, message.requested direction or direction. Yep. Neat. Oh, good. Yeah, this makes sense.
And
now we need to loop over the messages, right? Because messages, this is an array.
Oh, messages. Yeah. I guess there should only really be one.
That's, I mean...
that is a fair assumption to make, right? I'll do find. In this case, it is.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
And there's some type nonsense we're going to have to do for this to force it into the type that we want.
Mm-hmm. Is there?
Because if it's null... Yeah, because it's not going to know... oh, it's fine.
Yeah, it
figured it out. Amazing.
Well, because you filtered on the type.
What I'm saying is that it knows that... Because message right now is a generic... Like, if you just call find on it, it'll just give you a client message of some generic type. And it could be like... There's going to be multiple message types. But it knows that this one has a direction object on it. Either because there's only one possible value... or because it can like kind of reverse infer that because move players here, it like does the algebra and then like knows that direction's there, right?
It reversed inferred. If you go to if you scroll up, I think this find on type means that TypeScript can only return a single kind of object here.
Yeah. So it did the algebra and figured it out, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what we love types for. This is the type shit. Okay, cool. I think if you take the tank mover off the player, this should work. Oh, well, we have to get frame numbers going.
We have to get frame numbers going. Yes, indeed. Okay. We're a little past time. Do you want to keep trying to hack on it, or should we?
Let's give it 5 more.
5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, let's fix up the player. I guess the player entity that instantiates tank mover.
Tank mover doesn't exist anymore, so it's just player index.
Yeah. There you go. Boom.
And now we need to get frames going.
Huh?
I think this is a main.tsx thing, and
just a counter, right? Yeah.
Does the frame? Interesting.
So we're running the server also at 120 now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think 120 was just me trying to make a demonstration. Let's do 60 because otherwise things are going to be too fast, right?
Yep.
client frame is 0, and then we pass in client frame, client frame plus plus.
Same for the server frame. Oh, yeah. Read only. Gotta give that a let. Oh, this is sick.
Wait, what is? Oh, we do set timeout in just different locations.
Yeah, I was convinced that putting it at the top meant you got closer to correct.
I think you're right.
Because this takes like a millisecond, and then you're already off by 1 millisecond.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And then, so both client and server update need to get the frame number.
I'm glad we took out every other system.
Tank mover system takes the frame number. And then we should do an interesting thing where we do
which, to be fair, we never have to clean this up, but we will have a memory problem at some point, right?
Right. Client message queue dot filter. Right, because by the time we get down here, we should have consumed all of the messages that were for the current frame, right?
Yep, and if we missed one, we missed one. Yep. And the client will reconcile. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
Oh my god, does this work?
It's rendering. Let me clean some of this stuff up, because I just...
Hell yeah.
Yeah. It does not work right now, but I'd like to see it work.
Yep, we're close.
We are close. Okay, so player input. I also want to do one more thing before we... I want to add a little bit of spice to this.
I was going to say, what if you just set the client frame to 5 to start?
Oh, that's interesting.
We'll immediately get messages from the future, but that's fine.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Sweet. Because we had something where servlet needs to run once first, so like, it's not a thing.
What is it rendering right now? G.player is null.
Yeah, probably so.
Oh my gosh, it's crashing Firefox.
Love it.
Where are we doing G.player? Is it in the render?
I think if you... There we go. Yeah, it's back.
Oh, it's back. Player health bar. Damn it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Entities. It's actually going to be client
entities
manager.getPlayer.
Yep.
And eventually, this is not going to even be a thing that you can read on the server, right?
Correct.
All right. So we need to figure out, are we even in queuing stuff? I think we are, right? This has to be in the tank mover system, right? This has to be where the problem is.
I mean, let's log a message. Let's print some stuff out up here.
Get here?
Yeah.
We do not. And
that's the right player. we should get here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and the frame number is 0. And if we advance, the frame number is 1.
Sorry, wait. What is frame? Frame is DT. Things are backwards.
Doh.
DT is really, really cleanly. Yeah. Whew.
This is why we should have keyword arguments for everything.
Always params forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take out debug. Let's see what we got.
Okay. Still. Oh my god, it works. You can feel a little bit of the delay already, but it works.
Right. Yeah. It should be 30 milliseconds off. 16, something, just a little bit slow.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. This is the greatest feeling in the world. A janky, slow rendering thing. But
nice
we
work.
did it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But I understand how this is kind of coming together a little bit, right? That's the important thing.
Yeah, same.
Boy, this is brutal.
We got a lot ahead of us. But it's going to get easier bit by bit.
Okay. That sounds great. Oh boy.
All right, cool. Well, let's end on a success.
Okay. See you later, everybody. We'll be back Sunday?
We'll be back Sunday. Yeah, I'm here. You here?
I'm here.
Unless things burn down, Sunday it is.
Yes. Okay.
Dude, I don't want to have a bug out plan, but I'm like, think I need a bug out plan.
Are you talking about like leaving the area plan?
Every time Napa gets on fire, I get a little cagey. I'm just like, that's very close.
Oh, I've never actually realistically thought that it could get this close, but our firefighters are all sick.
We have no firefighters. Capitalism is just going to kill us even faster right now. Anyway, sleep well. Good thoughts.
All right. Thank you, Dominic. And on that note, I'm ending the stream.
Perfect.